Hey YouTube, Rich McCall Serpents, RMS. How's it going? Let's talk lost snakes. So, right now as we speak, I have a snake out in my snake building. Last night at some point, he pushed his tub just enough open to get his head out, and once the head out, body will follow. So the snake got out. And I'm not happy with that, but at the same time, I'm not really worried about it, and here's why. My snake building is completely escape proof as long as the door is closed. If the door is closed, there's no other way out of this building. All my venting is covered in a steel mesh that even a hatchling couldn't get through. And I simply just don't have any plumbing in here. I don't have a toilet, for example, that a snake could climb up to and go through the water and get out into the piping. It just isn't in this building in the first place. So as long as I keep my door closed, that snake won't go any further than he is already. But I'm not really tearing the building apart to find him. And here's why. I'm going to outweight him. So what will happen is this whole building is heated 24/7, 78 to 82 degrees. That's a nice temperature for a python room, cool end in a tub. Okay? And I use hot spots. I use heat strips in my tubs. I like an 88 degree heat strip so that the actual inside of the tub, the plastic bottom of the tub the snake can be on, is 88 degrees. So what that snake will do is he'll cruise around because he's comfortable in 78 to 82 degrees. At some point though, he's going to want to get warmer, probably in the middle of the night. And so what he will do is he'll climb up into one of my racks. And for example, the Freedom Breeder racks. Freedom Breeder has these fantastic heat strips. There's a metal flat plate, and the heat's under that flat plate. And then I have the insulated side, so there's an insulation level right there. And so what will happen is your tub is sitting just above that metal flat plate. Under it, there's a space, and then there's a plastic piece that forms the roof of a tub for the next level down. And the snake will get up, and he'll get under the heat strip, and he'll push that little plastic roof down a little bit. It'll flex just enough that when I pull a tub out, it'll resist. So tomorrow morning, what I'll do is I'll walk around the room, and I'll start at one end, and I'll open up the tub, and then I'll close the tub, and I'll open up the next one. I'll go right now, the strip, and all the way through all the tubs looking for that. And at some point, one of the tubs will resist when I try to pull it, because Freedom Breeder tubs move in and out really well. And I don't really have much resistance there. So, and here's the thing, the tub that is resisting almost always is the tub below where the snake is, because what he's doing is blowing that plastic sheet out. So I pull a tub, it resists. I immediately stop, just in case he's under there. I don't want to hurt him, right? But I pull out the tub above it, and the snake is almost always right there. He'll be wedged in under the heat strip. Heat strips are Velcro, so you can flex them when you pop the Velcro up and get the snake out with no problem, no hurting the snake, no issues at all for the snake. And I'll put him back in his tub. Now, the one concern I do have with my snake being out in my snake building right now is the heat probes on all of my racks. So as soon as I figured out I had a snake out, the first thing I did was check all my probes everywhere. Because as our friend Brian Gundy will tell you, a probe can get knocked off by a snake that's out. So I check all that, and I will keep my eye on them as the day goes by. And I really, like I said, I'm gonna let the snake come to me. But if I don't find him tomorrow morning, I will tear my building apart trying to find him. I just don't want to if I don't have to. And almost always they go to heat. So that's how I do it in the snake building, where I have this steady source of heat and a pattern that the snakes will follow. So the rack he escaped from, though, has little plastic strips that you have to push in front of the tubs in order for them to be blocked so they can't open. And last night, I forgot to put the plastic strip in front of this particular snake's tub. So it's completely my fault the snake got out. So, and here's the thing about lost snakes. If you've never had a snake that got out of its cage, you simply haven't kept snakes long enough yet. It's going to happen. Unless you're the most anal retentive individual out there, you've had a snake get out. And I don't mean anal retentive in a negative way, because in this case, it's a great thing because you don't have snakes getting out. But for the rest of us, at some point you're going to have a snake get out. So, let me tell you a story about the first time I had a snake get out. Right after I got into this part of the snake hobby where I wanted to actually breed pieballs, because pie's my thing. I got a bunch of het pied females, and I started raising them up, and then I picked up my very first full pied male. And this is when pie balls were about $1,000 for a male pie. At that range, I forget what year that was, but about then that's about what I paid for them. And I ordered a cage from him from one of the cage makers, and of course there was a 10-week wait for the cage. And of course, I already had the snake because we all do that. So I rigged up a tub for him with the thermostat and heat and all the good stuff, so he could have that as a temporary home while I waited for his cage to arrive. And this is one of those lessons you learn about tubs. All right, I was smart enough to get a tub that had clasps on each end. However, this particular tub flexed in the middle, and so he, of course, snake being a snake, he found that flex, got his head out, body will follow, snake got out. All right, so here is what I did then. First of all, I hadn't told my wife I had bought the pie in the first place. $1,000 snake. By the way, wife, I just paid $1,000 for a snake. I hadn't done that yet. I hadn't worked up the courage to do that yet. All right. I also then didn't tell her the snake was out. I know. Don't even go there. Every one of you who's married has done that to your spouse. You know you have. Anyways, I didn't tell her. So I searched. Other aside real fast, this is back when I first started. This is my man cave version of the snake world. So I started off in the house. It wasn't my snake building or what I've moved myself to at this point. It was my original man cave. So basically it was just my office with my computer and my video games and my snakes. And so he got out. And I searched everywhere, couldn't find him. So we have 4 dogs. And we walk the dogs there every single night about 2 miles. So she got home, it was time to walk the dogs, grab the dogs, went to their walk. So this is about 8 p.m., 9 p.m. at night. So we get home, and she actually has an errand to run. So we get in the door, I have all the dogs, I'm going to take the leashes off. She starts to head to the back of the room to grab some stuff sheets for Aaron. And all of a sudden I hear this scream, "Rich! Snake! There's a snake in the hallway! There's a snake in the hallway!" Oh my God. I'm not divorced, and I have like 200 snakes. Is she not the most awesome woman in the world? She did freak out. She was not a happy camper. She was angry at me. However, she forgave me, as you must do in marriages, especially when your husband is a dumbass. But that snake, I'm sorry, but it's just funny. Anyways, she forgave me. I still have snakes. I didn't get divorced. But I didn't want that to happen again, I've had a few other snakes get out, but here's some stuff you can do if your snake gets out. And I'm specifically talking about ball pythons here, but it goes for other snakes too. I really hope you don't have a venom issue like get out, because that's a whole other ball game, and run away. Ball pythons are slow. They're a terrestrial snake, short stubby tail. They can climb, but they don't really like to climb compared to an arboreal snake, that is. However, I do find they will climb when they've gotten out. I found a lot of the time the snake will go to heat, like I said, and in the snake room, it's a good example in this building. If the snake escaped over there, I actually expect to find it on the whole other side of the building, and it will climb up. It's when I found snakes that have gotten out in the snake building, it's never at the bottom of the rack, the heat source. It's always in the middle. Never at the top either. It's always in the middle where I find the snake. At least that's my experience so far. So in your house, though, search around. Search all the nooks and crannies around where the snake was and where it could have gotten out. Take into account, was there an open window? Was there an open door that could have let the snake into the outside? And then search the area above, not just below. Like I said, terrestrial snake, not super climbers, but they will climb. So look up if you haven't found them when you've looked down. Now here's the problem inside a house. You have all kinds of nooks and crannies. And especially if it's a small snake, a hatchling, a younger snake, they can get into really tight spaces and ball up, and you're not going to find them. Do your best. Search for everything. And usually when a snake gets out inside the house, they don't really go too far from the area that they first got out. Give it some time. If it's been a week, he's had the whole house, right? But it's been a day, he's probably still in the immediate vicinity. All right. So if you haven't found them, one of the things that I like to do is get up in the middle of the night with a flashlight. And that's all. Middle of the night, there's different definitions for different people. Basically, when the house has been dark and quiet for an hour or 4, get out of bed, use a flashlight. Don't flip on your overhead lights. Overhead lights going to give the snake a warning, and it might actually hide faster than you can find it. Use a flashlight. Start searching the floor. Look in the middle of the floor. This is the time when a snake might be moving. Might be in the middle of the floor, but look in the nooks and crannies around. And also look up. You have a bookshelf. Look at the top of the bookshelf. Look up there, look down. Search everywhere. And then the other spot is what is warm. Hot spots. Electronic devices. Television, games, computers. Anything that has some warmth to it. Look there. Look under there. Look behind it. Anywhere that the snake can get close to that device and have some warmth, look there. And, you know, hopefully you'll find the snake. I've had people tell me that they found snakes, you know, right under the tank. I've had people tell me they found the snake all the way on the other side of the house. You know, use your best judgment as far as where you think the snake could have gotten to. But start at the spot where the snake got out and search from there. And maybe you need to have your wife walk down the hallway in the middle of the day, and she'll find it for you, right? So let me tell you about one other lost snake. Back when I was doing all this stuff in my my man cave version of life. I had a female pied, and I keep most of my female pieds. As Nick from Renowned Reptiles will tell you, it's hard to get female pieds from me. But I had a female pied, and she got out. And I searched, and she was one of the first snakes that I had made myself. And I couldn't find her anywhere. Couldn't find her. Did all the stuff I've told you about. I still couldn't find her. It was a week or two. And yes, that time I told my wife about it. So she was looking for it too. And I just couldn't find the snake. And I had photos of the snake. I knew what it looked like. It was a well-started hatchling, so it was probably about 300 grams when it got out. And what happened that time, by the way, just you know, use your own, my experience or my failing for your experience. I had bought a different caging system that I had just set it up, and it was a caging system that used tubs in it, and the tubs were sort of rounded in the front, and they were commercial tubs, not iris. I think they were Sterilites or something, but the front part is slightly rounded, and it was my own inexperience with this caging. I didn't quite close it enough. The snake got its head out, body will follow, and it got out. You know, and that was my experience with that particular rack system that I was using at that time. So, snake's out, can't find it anywhere. So, a year and a half, and I'm not kidding, a solid year and a half later, and you know who found it? Yep, it was my wife. All of a sudden, she says, "Honey, there's a snake in my bathroom." Because my wife and I have separate bathrooms because, you know, I'm kind of messy. So she likes my mess to stay in my bathroom. So, her bathroom, sure enough, there is a snake on the floor. And my first thought is, what do you mean? I have no snakes here at all anymore. How did this snake get here? And then it hit me. Oh my God, it has to be this girl, right? So, and sure enough, I had photos of her. And so I was able to look at her, you know, and pieds are pretty much like a fingerprint, right? They're distinctive. So here's the thing, though. So like I said, this is a year and a half after I lost her, and she was probably 300 grams-ish when I did lose her. And if she was 300 grams when I lost her, she was only maybe 350 grams when I found her. But she looked fantastic. She had the total round body. She wasn't skinny. She had found something to eat. Not much, because she didn't grow much, but she had found something to eat, and she had found, you know, some water to drink somewhere. And where she had been in between getting lost in a year and a half, I got no idea. I'm going to guess she was either in my sub-basement or in the crawl spaces or, you know, somewhere in there. And how she ended up coming up in my wife's bathroom, the next guess is maybe the piping. I actually don't know, though, you know, because my wife's pretty clean, so it wasn't like that snake was living in her, you know, her bathroom cupboard for a year and a half. There's no way that happened. So, but we found that snake, and in a minute I'll actually show you that snake. Her name is Found, of course. I had the name of Found once I found her. And here's the thing is, like I said, she was only 350 grams after a year and a half. But once I gave her a good, solid diet and steady, good, clean water and a nice, warm place to live, at this point, if I didn't tell you this story and you looked at her, you wouldn't know that she had ever had a year and a half of freedom in my house. So this is Found. This is a big, chunky female pied. I'm hoping this nice thickness here is, she's actually been with the asphalt het pied male, so I'm hoping she's brewing me up some asphalt pies. There's her head. Found, of course, because of her history, is one of my favorites. But she's gorgeous too. Look at the colors on her. There you go. Hey, buddy, making you famous on YouTube. So here you go. This is found, like I told you, despite the fact that after a year and a half she was only 350 grams and she went through who knows what in her quest for freedom. At this point, she just looks absolutely gorgeous and fantastic, and is an excellent, healthy snake. Here you go, buddy. Show us your head over here. All right. See ya, found. So that's some tips on lost snakes and what you can do if you have a lost snake. And if you have any good tips that you know of for people finding lost snakes, go ahead and put those down in the comments below. And if you have any good stories of a lost snake in your house, go ahead and put those in the comments too. All right, YouTube. Rich McCall. Rich McCall Serpents. RMS. See ya.